Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen, our co-host, of course, with the boxing gloves on. Cohen, let's get into it.
We're in fight mode today, Ben.
Yeah, a lot of news to discuss as the deadline approached for Donald Trump to impose sanctions on Russia. Donald Trump's envoy to Russia, Steve Witkoff, who you know well, Cohen. You'll talk about that in a little bit. Real estate guy, no experience doing foreign relations or diplomacy or no qualifications really to be speaking to Putin other than he's Trump's real estate buddy. He met with Putin, and then Putin said something to him. And then as a result, Donald Trump said, I think that we had a great meeting between Witkoff and Putin. So we're just going to see what happens in a few more weeks. And then maybe I'll meet with Putin directly, Trump and Putin. But he goes, no, Europe. Europe can't be there. It's just got to be Trump and Putin. And then afterwards, maybe we'll meet Trump, Putin, and Zelensky, but Europe can't be there either. So it's such an obvious setup. And of course, Donald Trump not imposing the secondary sanctions on Russia. This is his out of it. Meanwhile, Russia continues to kill innocent Ukrainians. And what Russia wanted was a reprieve from the fact that Ukrainian drones have been striking the oil refineries in Russia and the railroads, and actually pretty efficient in harming Russia's economy. So Putin wanted to try to get Donald Trump to get Ukraine to stop the drone strikes while allowing for Russia to continue to make advances on the battlefield. Here's Donald Trump being asked, though. So Donald, you told us peace in Ukraine on day one. It was going to be easy. How do you know Putin's just not playing you again? He's not tapping you along even more. Here's what Donald Trump says. Let's play it.
Mr. President, in the past, you said you would know if Putin was tapping you along. What gives you any confidence that he is or isn't doing that this time around?
Can't answer the question yet. I'll tell you in a matter of weeks, maybe less.
Yeah. And then he's asked, did Putin make some sort of concession to like was there something?
What's the progress? What's the progress that he talked about in that tweet?
Well, he's asked, reporter, did Putin make some sort of concession today that he hasn't been willing to make before? Let's play the response, Jeremy.
Mr. President, what was the breakthrough today? Did Vladimir Putin make some kind of concession that he hasn't been willing to make before?
I don't call it a breakthrough. I mean, we've been working on this a long time. There are thousands of young people dying, mostly soldiers, but also, missiles being hit into Kiev and other places. But in terms of soldiers, I think Russia's lost over 20,000 since the beginning of the year. 20,000. And I guess the estimate for Ukraine is about 9,000. It's a terrible situation. We want to get it stopped.
Jeremy, put up the post one more time so we could read it, and then Cohen, I'll throw it over. Here's what Donald Trump posted. My special envoy, Steve Witkoff, just had a highly productive meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Great progress was made. Afterwards, I updated some of our European allies. Everyone agrees this war must come to a close, and we will work towards that in the days and weeks to come. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So Cohen, he goes, great progress was made. And then he's asked, well, what was the progress that was made?
Isn't that what each and every one of us is asking ourselves? And by the way, if you could throw that back up for 1 second, Jeremy, and I want our brigaders to take a look. You're talking about 1,003 likes with 270 retweets. I mean, okay, you can take it down. This is a little embarrassing if you think about it, simply because it's the guy's own social media site. He's the president of the United States, and we are discussing an issue that is of serious national importance, right? Stopping this war that Russia started with the deaths and the killing. Now, it's funny because if you listen to the response has no connection to the question. The question that they're asking, again, the same thing that Ben and I are asking. I'm sure each and every one of you are asking the same exact question. What is the great progress was made? Okay, thank God. As we say in Hebrew, Baruch Hashem. Oh, great, thank God. Now just tell us what that progress is. Well, here's the big problem. There is no progress. And so just because you write it doesn't make it factually correct, right? I mean, just let us know what's right. So instead, he starts going to the talking points. Thousands and thousands of lives are being lost, and we got to stop this. And we're going to stop it. We're going to stop it in days and weeks to come, always with the weeks, right? Not the 24 hours, even maybe before he takes office, all right? That's called realization. And I'm okay with that. I really am. I'm okay with that. But what I'm not okay with, if you're going to claim that there's progress, that Special Envoy Steve Witkoff had a productive meeting with President Vladimir Putin, why don't you just, if you're going to post, tell us, how is it productive? And what's the progress? Because we are all anxious. By the way, we're anxious for two reasons. One, it stops the death. But two, it also stops us from having to send more and more military equipment, which costs the American people a lot of money, right?
Absolutely right. And you take a look at what else went down during this press conference, Cohen, and it was just one kind of thing after another, lie after lie after lie. You after Donald Trump is saying that, he then gets asked another question about these deals and what's happening with the economy. So he then says gasoline is down. It's going to be less than $2 soon. Now, he's previously said it's $1.98 when we know that's not the case. But he goes, here it's going to be under $2. And again, we just know, look, the reality is that in some areas, gas is down. But the lie of, but grocery prices are significantly higher. By the way, gas being down in many ways is one of a recessionary indicators based on what's taking place. But, nothing tethered to reality. So here he is talking about gasoline. Let's play this clip.
Fake news networks, and they say costs are up. No, costs are down. Gasoline is down. It's going to soon, I believe, be less than $2 a gallon. It's around $2.40 right now, many places other than California where they tax you out of business.
And then he says,
it's so myopic, right? If you're talking about costs are down, how about just walk in for the first time in your life, walk into a Walmart, walk into a Costco, walk into Myers or a TJ Maxx or something, and turn around and take a look. Or why don't you just ask people in the street? Ben, we should actually do that. We should take to the street and then just ask everyday people that we meet. Question for you. How's the pricing of your groceries? I know I went to the grocery store with the wife a few days ago. I know it's up. I know that before what you would get for $100, right? It's not the same. I know that if you go and you start buying things, whether it's on Amazon or any of the other, sites that you could buy stuff, it's not cheaper. It's more expensive. It's why he turned around and he told them, do not put in a separate line regarding tariff fees. All right. And then you listen to Fox News, who turns around and tells you that at the end, that all of a sudden here, right, everything is down. We're collecting hundreds of billions of dollars a day regarding tariffs and so on. And the tariffs are paid for by the country of origin. None of that is true. None of it's true. It's just one big giant lie. And Ben, you know who's beginning to finally feel this? You know who's beginning to finally wake up and smell the roses? Or I should say, smell the coffee, which is now something like $25 for a bag when before it was $18? MAGA and Republicans, they're the ones that are beginning to feel it. And they're beginning to feel it in their own pocket.
And Donald Trump then says, though, costs are going down. Here he is from that press conference saying all the costs are going down. What are you talking about here? Let's play that clip.
Down. The costs are down. I just hope when they watch these shows, I watch this, I won't use names because I just make them better known that nobody knows who they are. But I watch this group of people on CNN and MSDNC too, the same thing, where they say, well, costs have gone up. Costs haven't gone up. They've gone down. I'm telling you, the thing that's gone up is stock prices and success of our country. Our country is really, really doing well, successful. Yes, ma'am.
And again,
it's
another
really
blatant lie. And then, he's asked a question about Epstein. And his response now, any question about Epstein is, it's all one giant hoax. It's all fake. And again, when the way he's behaved, Cohen, regarding Epstein, I'm sure that there's some very damning things, most likely, in these files for the way he's reacting. But if we just look at his conduct over the past few weeks relative to these Epstein files, just the way he's behaved in the cover-up, in many ways, it's beyond the most vile behavior imaginable. If you were to say to me, hey, Ben, here's what's actually in the files. In the files, he sends an email to Ghislaine saying, I've got your back. And no matter what happens to you, I'm going to move you to the minimum security facility. You've got my word. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to put you in a prison camp that everybody wants to go to. There's not even really prison guards there. It's right next to Texas A&M, a college town as well, which I don't think that part of this has been reported, that they moved a sex trafficker right next to a college town, which is why they don't allow sex traffickers in that facility. I'm going to give you
the BOP doesn't allow violent criminals or sex crimes.
Specifically,
in minimum satellite camps.
At this facility, though, like at minimum security facilities in general, but this piece has been missed on the story. Mm-hmm. Bryan, Texas is a college town.
Yep.
Ghislaine Maxwell sex trafficked young girls. There's a particular reason too why you don't move sex traffickers in a minimum security facility in the college town. Go look up where Texas A&M is and just think about the state of Texas, how outraged they should be that they just moved a sex trafficker on the campus. But meanwhile, also Trump brought in Lawrence Taylor, a convicted sex offender who sexually assaulted an underage 16-year-old girl, to lead the child fitness program. So he's going to be the one working with children. So if you told me, Cohen, here's what's in the files, Trump's going to say, I'm going to move you to Texas A&M area and I've got your back. And I'm also going to appoint a guy who sexually assaulted an underage 16-year-old girl. I'm going to make him supervise the children. Okay, he just did all of that in public, right? He goes, and get this, Ghislaine, I'm going to call it all a hoax. Everything Epstein, I'm going to say, is all made up. I am going to re-victimize these victims again and say it's a hoax to further trigger their PTSD to the extent that they're alive. If that's what was in the files, Cohen, if what I just said was in the files, Trump should be impeached. He should be removed from office immediately. That's her. He did that in public. I just don't want us to lose sight of it. But here's what happens when he's asked about the question. Here, play this clip.
Mr. President.
The two Kevins, very good.
Mr. President, is Vice President Vance hosting a gathering this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
Is he working on what?
Is he hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but I think here's the man right here.
I saw a reporter today, and it's completely fake news. We're not meeting to talk about the Epstein situation, and I think the reporter who reported it needs to get better sources.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country. And that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit. Okay?
Let me be very, very clear. As somebody that used to spend a lot of time strategizing with Trump and others in regard to issues, to me, when I heard that, and I had heard it from Lev Parnas even before it was announced, I said, it makes perfect sense. In fact, if I was still in that camp, I would be turning around and saying to the president, we must sit down, strategize, because there's multiple issues that were taking place here. This wasn't just about Donald Trump or the Epstein file. This was also about Dan Bongino, who was asked to come to this meeting because he is in a rage. This is a guy who, by the way, was former law enforcement, who has spent the last 5 years literally attacking Democrats day in and day out. His entire his entire constituency is predicated on people who want to see these Democrats, the names and the people, these Democrats who have violated and have raped these young girls, these children. And now all of a sudden you're being told, whoa, 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 hold on just 1 second. We're going to take a step back. We're not going to release any of the information just yet. Give us a little bit of time. They're not having it. And I'm going to tell you, Bongino happens to be the only one that's former law enforcement. He's the one that's taking this the hardest, because he's basically made his entire career out of the Epstein file and holding the Democrats accountable. Well, I don't know. As number 2 over there by the FBI, this is not a guy that you want to piss off. He's a guy who was actually contemplating on leaving. That's what the strategy meeting was supposed to deal with Bongino's fury, where Bongino was going to be there himself. Now, what was going to be the topic of conversation? Obviously, none of us know. The only way we would know is if we were a fly on the wall, which we are not. Nevertheless, that meeting still took place.
The meeting took place not at J.D. Vance's residence. It took place at the White House. That's where it took place. You go through more of the statements that were being made at this press conference as well. One of the things that Donald Trump was asked is, have you been briefed on what Ghislaine Maxwell told Todd Blanche? And again, just lie after lie. Donald Trump says, no, I haven't. Here, play this clip.
Mr. President, have you been briefed on what Ghislaine Maxwell told Todd Blanche?
No, I haven't.
So you don't know whether you came up in the conversation or not?
Todd is a very respected person all over the country, all over the world legally, so I don't know.
Mr. President.
Okay, I could also tell you emphatically that that's horseshit, okay? The second that Todd Blanche walked out, he turned on his cell phone and he called and he gave the president a report. And by the way, once again, there would be nothing illegal about that. You know, everybody keeps talking about Todd Blanche going to see Ghislaine Maxwell. Is it unprecedented? Absolutely. Is it unusual? 100%. Is it illegal? No, it is not. Now, I want to be clear. Todd Blanche was not going there for the American people. He was not going there as the number 2 guy over at the DOJ. He was going there in order to do damage control, to assess what information is in Ghislaine's mouth, in her brain. That's what he was going. And that way they could make a strategy on how to deal with it. That's what this was all about. So again, I don't know why he feels it's necessary to even lie about this. Just turned around and said, yeah, he did. He reached out to me, and there will be a report that will be generated, and it will be made public at the appropriate time. Right now, it's not the appropriate time. I mean, that's a fair and decent. You don't have to always have an answer. You can turn around and say, right now, there's an investigation going on, and the entire, all the information which is capable of being released will be released. I mean, I just don't. What he does by doing this is he just fuels the conspiracy theories more and more and more. What's he covering up? Then we got a bunch of folks that are, writing us messages right now. Tell us, Cohen, what do you know? What do you know about Trump and young girls? And I'm going to remind each and every one of you again and again and again. I came in 2007 into Trump's orbit in 2005, but 2007, his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein was 2 decades before I started working full-time. I was in college and then in law school when that relationship started. So what do I know about it? I know about the actual firsthand relationship between Trump and Epstein the same way that you do. Well, and by the way, the funny thing, Ben, with the 7 congressional hearings that I appeared for, with all of the grand jury that I was subpoenaed for, and the 2 trials that I was subpoenaed to be a key witness in, you think that they didn't all ask questions about this? Do you think that after was it 11 different depositions and so on, and hearings and being on trial, you think that I wouldn't have turned around and said something if I knew it? I mean, I don't know why people keep turning around and saying, oh, Cohen knows. What, you think that there's something that I would hold back? Really? Something like this? Anybody who knows me, this to me is the grossest thing. This whole Epstein matter to me is just freaking gross.
Well, and Cohen, that's why you've also said release the Epstein files.
I call for it, unredacted except for the names of the victims.
Release the files, and I mean, look, the reality is nobody has asked get Ghislaine's deposition. That's not ever been a thing that people have demanded. Trump turned release the Epstein files into release Ghislaine Maxwell from the prison in Florida. That's part of the plan to try to distract and cover up for Donald Trump. But you've just provided a massive amount of cover to a convicted sex trafficker, and you've given her all of these benefits, and you've just moved her to a facility that's right by a college town in Texas A&M. Because look, Trump was close friends with Ghislaine. I mean, we know about the friendship. It started in the late 80s into the 90s, and Trump wished her well at her sex trafficking trial. He said, I wish her well. And Trump used the release of the Epstein files as an opportunity to release Ghislaine Maxwell, his buddy, a convicted sex trafficker.
Yeah.
It is a horrific thing. The other thing I want to talk about, though, Cohen, is every time Donald Trump holds a meeting now, some of the things that always have to happen is, number one, the person has to allow Donald Trump to announce a fake deal. So Tim Cook shows up, Donald Trump goes $600 billion. That's step one of the humiliation ritual that you have to go through. And step two, you have to give Donald Trump something gold. Like you literally have to give him like a golden, thing, a widget. Here's a gold. And so the CE is like right out of some freaking weird whatever. The CEO shows up with gold, whether it's a gold FIFA trophy, a gold medal.
This is a 5-pound, 24-karat gold base. I mean, this isn't like gold paint like Trump talks about, right? You can't get gold paint, for example, in the Oval Office unless there's actual real gold in it. This is a 24-karat gold base with some disc made of glass that has Trump's name on it, that this design supposedly came from some veteran, right? And so it's a fucking circle with a hole in it, right? That fits into a base, which is made of 24-karat gold. But the funny thing is, I was watching this thing on television. All I kept watching was Lutnick and Bessent staring at this gift being given by Tim Cook to the president. I talk about a grift. I mean, this is a fucking brick. And I could see Lutnick's eyes. He's like, where's mine? Where's mine? They all think that they're Donald Trump, that the grift extends to them. If you have the clip, it's definitely worth showing.
Let's play the clip.
Oh, you're the best.
Do you mind if I step up?
Yes, please.
This box was made here in the U.S., California, and this glass comes off the Corning line. It's engraved for President Trump. It's a unique unit of one. It was designed by a U.S. Marine Corps corporal, a former one, that works at Apple now.
He's done well.
Designed it for you. And the base comes from Utah and is 24-karat gold. And it sits, I'll take the liberty of setting it up.
Wow.
Well, let's see. There we go. Congratulations,
Thank you
Mr.
very much.
President.
It's
Thank you so
fantastic.
much.
The great people of Kentucky.
Congratulations for accepting a gold bar. I mean, this isn't even in the shadows. This isn't behind closed doors. This is right in the freaking open, right in front of the American people on camera, where he's literally getting a payoff by Tim Cook, who's bribing him.
Yeah, right.
And did you see Lutnick's face? Did you see Besson's face? They're like, wow. All you could say, if there was a little bubble over their head, it'd be like, Where the fuck is mine?
I just did an interview with a reporter that's going to come out in the next day or two, or maybe next week. But one of the things I said is that we were talking about corporate news and how they miss the mark. And one of the things I was saying is I said, what's happening is happening in front of our eyes, and we're seeing it. And like that story should be a front page story. And the headline in a normal, healthy political environment is Donald Trump gets bribed with gold bar by CEO of America's highest earning company as part of tribute. In a healthy democracy with a healthy press, that's the headline. That's the front page. There's a photo of Donald Trump accepting a 5-pound gold bar. But in these times, that registers on the Midas Touch network, but it doesn't and it registers with the people. But then people are like, all right, surely their outrage will be there by the media. But the media's like, I think what we want to really focus on is let's just ask Democrats about Mondami. Let's ask them questions. Let's focus all on that. Let's ask questions about the Democratic brand. It's like, no, can we focus on the fact that there is a 5-alarm crisis taking place in front of our eyes right now, and do your freaking job and cover what's happening, the descent, or we're already there, into full authoritarianism. We'll talk about that and more. We got to take our first break, Cohen, of the show. A reminder, everybody, subscribe to Michael Cohen's Substack, subscribe to the Midas Touch Substack. Another reminder, make sure you subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show, and subscribe to his audio podcast, Mea Culpa. Let's take our first quick break. We will be right back.
You ever tried launching a podcast with zero experience? Well, let me tell you something. It's like being tossed into a cage match with a grizzly bear, blindfolded, wearing clown shoes. Because when I started Political Beatdown with Ben, I thought, come on, man, how hard can this be? Script writing, logos, production schedules, ad deals, and don't even get me started on the tech setup. I mean, I feel like I was decoding a damn matrix. Now, if only I had Shopify when I launched this beast. Shopify is the platform behind millions of businesses across the globe, responsible for a whopping 10%. You hear that? 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. And my friends, that's not hype. That's fact. From big names like Mattel and Gymshark to folks just getting their hustle off the ground, Shopify's got their back. I mean, you want a gorgeous online store? Shopify's got hundreds of sleek, ready-to-go templates that make you look like a design god. AI tools? Yeah, they've got those too. Writing your podcast descriptions, jazzing up your images, maybe even making you sound smarter than you are. I mean, not naming names. And you need a marketing squad? Shopify's built-in tools let you hit email, Instagram, TikTok, wherever your customers are scrolling or doom scrolling. And listen, Shopify handles it all. Inventory, returns, international shipping. I mean, they are the ride or die business partner that you never knew you needed. So if you got a big idea or even a little one and you're ready to turn that dream into a reality, head over to shopify.com/beat. That's shopify.com/beat to start your $1 per month trial today. That's Shopify, shopify.com/beat. Yeah,
Welcome back to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. Cohen, great ad reads as always, sir. Let's get back into it. We've got a lot to discuss.
Can we not just step off of this bribe, of this grift? I mean, I'm with you. This should be front page news. Everybody should be talking about. You know what this reminds me of? When you watch some of these either Netflix type shows or the old movies about like the 1400s and 1500s with the kings, when various different subjects from different locations would show up and they would present a gift to the king and queen, and they would come and they would kneel before him and they would present it, and then, it would then just get put off into a pile, and everybody would show their respect by giving the king and the queen some form of a gratuity, a gift, a grift. That's not supposed to take place in a democratic republic. I mean, we are literally watching Tim Cook, as Big Ben over here said, we are watching Tim Cook giving a bribe to the president of the United States so that they can turn around and feed us a bunch of bullshit that they're going to invest another $100 billion in the United States in manufacturing, bringing it up now to $600 billion investment from $500 billion that was pledged. So far, I just don't see any facilities being built by Apple. So knowing how long it takes to build a facility, will Trump be president at the time? Let me rephrase that. Will he be king at the time?
Cohen, you testified at trials involving Donald Trump's fraud and deceit. There was a civil fraud trial where he makes up fake valuations of things. He just would make up numbers in ways that are unnecessary. Like, there's a lot of good numbers you can talk about truly with Donald Trump's property, like Mar-a-Lago. Like Mar-a-Lago, he got cheap, and then he turned it into by turning it into a club.
And he's done that with at least 10 different properties.
So but that's the thing. But at the end of the day, you can say, hey, everybody, yeah, because it's a club, I've characterized it this way. I only value it at $26 million because it's a club and it can't be sold because I entered into basically a lifelong encumbrance on the property. And that's why I valued it this way. And yeah, sure, I took advantage of tax loopholes, but he doesn't do it. Because actually, it's worth $26 million to this assessor, but then it's also worth $2 billion to this assessor. And at the end of the day, could you convince me that the property is worth $450 or $500 million? I mean, okay. If it were a residential property at the location, sure, maybe. But he goes $2 billion. You know, there's a lot of, before Donald Trump screwed things up, some good data that you can talk about with the American economy, with our GDP. So why are you saying that you're bringing in $17 trillion from the Middle East when we know that the entire GDP of Qatar is like 150 billion and UAE's 400 billion and Saudi Arabia is 2 billion? So they can't give you an aggregate 10 times basically what their GDP is. You know, and then you look at these other things. Yes, he goes, South Korea, $450 billion signing bonus that they're going to give us. Well, their entire GDP's $1.2 trillion. They can't practically do that. Okay. It's an impossibility. They say discretionary high interest loans at their approval without any guarantee. That's South Korea's side of it. Same thing with Japan. Trump's like, they are giving us a $550 billion signing bonus. With the European Union, Trump says, I already have the money. Europe gave it to me. I can do whatever I want with it. It's now mine right now, like as though that transaction has happened. And that hasn't happened. And now, to your point, Apple, he says, is giving him the same amount of money as the European Union, $600 billion. And again, we know that this is not happening. So ultimately too, you look at the market right now in the stock market, which is their only barometer for things being good, which looks kind of where it was, pretty stagnant to where it was when Biden left office. If you did nothing, Biden had the market on a track to grow significantly more than where it is. But Cohen, what I fear when you look at systemically our economy, whether you look at delinquencies and credit card debt right now, student loan delinquencies, the amount of student loans that are 90 days plus that are out that have not been paid. When you look at jobless claims up 75% now than it was last year. When you look at groceries that are up, when you look across the board, when you look at housing prices, when you look at mortgage rates, when you look at the problems impacting our economy right now, let's not forget what triggered the Great Recession of 2008. It was subprime mortgages, right? And right now, My big fear is that we have 100+ different traps that resemble subprime mortgage types of things, where any one of these things can become a massive issue. I'll toss it to you, Cohen. I sat out a business roundtable for CEOs the other day, and it wasn't just digital people. I was invited just listening to people and business leaders talk. And I spoke to people in the garment industry. I spoke to people who built, who release perfumes. I spoke to people in the reclamation business, recycle. Every single person told me the same exact story, which is tariffs and uncertainty is killing their businesses.
I have a friend who's actually from India, and his entire export business to India from the United States and from India to the United States. He goes, I had 72 employees. He goes, I don't think by the end of the month, I will have half of them. He goes, I don't know what to do. You're right. It's the uncertainty. But I want to touch on the topic that you just brought up, Ben, because I think it's extremely important that people understand this whole scenario about Trump's claims. I mean, this is the crazy thing. $37 trillion he claims that tariffs, that his war using tariffs is going to generate for the United States. And before I continue, stay with me for a second here, Ben, because I need your help.
Yep.
I want you to explain to our viewership, to our family here, our brigaders. $37 trillion is 10 trillion more than our GDP. All the countries in the world combined, all of them combined, do not have a $37 trillion combined GDP. So my question that I have to ask you, where the hell did this number come from? And I know you're going to tell me he pulled it out of his ass. I get it. But there's always some factual accuracy that's inaccurate, that's an over-exaggeration. Why say 37 trillion? If you turn around and said that tariffs are going to bring in $1 trillion, $1 trillion, would we all not turn around and say, holy shit, that's a lot of freaking money. Yeah, go us, right? This is how we're going to reduce our debt. 2 trillion, oh my God, right? But 37 trillion, a number that is absolutely impossible to achieve, even if every single country other than the United States gave us their entire GDP, we still wouldn't have 37 trillion.
Yeah. And with these promises, he then uses them, though, as the hook to say, well, now we're going to give a tariff rebate check. Remember, he was saying Doge dividend checks. We're going to give Doge dividend. Doge is saving so much money that everybody's going to get Doge dividends. Now he's saying, we're making so much money. It is a tariff rebate check. You're all going to get $5,000. And that's, to me, just Cohen, part of the Ponzi scheme that he engages in. And then he moves on and on and on, to the next Ponzi scheme. But let's talk about what are they saying in Canada, for example. Doug Ford, the premier of Ontario, who used to be a Trump supporter, this guy. He was, kind of the early days of Maple MAGA during the first Trump administration. And he's since become very anti-Trump because Trump is anti-Canada. And he's saying, I can't support this guy. He's trying to destroy our country. But here's the premier, Doug Ford. Here's what he says about Trump in Canada. Here, let's play this clip.
What's the general impression of Trump in Canada?
He's probably the most disliked politician in the world in Canada because he's attacked his closest family member, and that's the way we look upon it. And when I talk to the governors and senators and Congress people, even Republicans totally disagree, but they're too scared to come out and say anything because the president will go after them, outside of a few senators. And I want to thank them for coming out and standing with not just American people, but their closest friends and allies, which is Canada. And again, we love the Americans. It's unfortunate President Trump decided to go down this road.
When you look also at international enrollment at American universities for this upcoming fall, what would your guess, Cohen, be? How much do you think international enrollment is down at American universities? What's your guess?
35%.
Dead on. About 35 to 40% international enrollment is done. That means that some of these students who could have been contributing to the American economy and then started the next AI companies of the future.
You know where I got that number from, by the way?
Where?
It's the same exact percentage of decline in tourism from Canada, as an example.
Yeah.
Canada, by the way, as you know, I'm a dual citizen. I have Canadian citizenship. And of course, born in America, but I also have dual citizenship. I'm also Canadian. I want to be very clear. I can't tell you the number of Canadians that have homes or apartments in Florida, right? That would go to Las Vegas and so on. They are sucking wind because Canadians are like, fuck this. I'm not going to America. All right. Right now we are boycotting, and they own property here in the United States. Or, of course, they would come and stay at hotels. And I'm talking about my own family members that live in Toronto. They're not coming to the United States. All right. They're just not. And they're like, until this nonsense stops, until Trump stops attacking us, until he stops attacking our prime minister, until he stops with this bullshit about lumber and aluminum and metals and so on, with making Canada the part of the United States, we're just not going to support this man and this country. And that's just a terrible shame.
Right. So beyond any retaliatory measures that Canada can impose on the United States, the fact that the people of Canada have not just led a Canadian boycott, but an international boycott of American products and of American tourism. And we're seeing what's happening right now in Las Vegas, as you know, there's a big dip in tourism right now in
35%.
Vegas, and a big dip in tourism revenue across the United States of America. And also people see the images of these ICE raids, and people see what ICE is doing to people from Canada who cross the border, Europe who cross the border, Australia who cross the border, China, South Korea, and others who cross the border, and how ICE is treating them, and that they could end up in concentration camps now in the United States, that ICE literally goes through your social media when you arrive. If they think you're anti-Trump or they don't like what you're doing, they throw you in a prison.
Hey, Ben, can we also talk for a minute? Because, you know, the fun thing about having you as a co-host here and our brigaders who are so active in their comments is the fact that this hour goes by just way too quick. How about the fact that they are now allowing, they have reduced the age to become an ICE agent from 21 to 18. And I want people to understand the danger that this poses. It's so hard. It's so hard to imagine. When I was 18, just as I'm sure the same with you, Ben, you know, let's just say you're not the most mature, right? You know, imagine being given an AR-15, a flak jacket, and ICE credentials and so on, and told to go into immigrant communities and go hunt down, like if you're playing Fortnite, go and find these undocumented individuals and round them up. I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable with an 18-year-old who's literally, some of them are still in high school, going ahead and becoming an ICE agent. Going in, there's going to be a real, let me tell you something. I predict there's going to be a lot of bad things coming out of that move.
Well, and they have bounties, right? You get bonuses by going after people. So it's not just migrants, it's citizens. And we've heard stories of pregnant women who are, disappeared off the street screaming, I'm a citizen, while they're having contractions. And so, what we have right now, and again, what happened in Los Angeles just yesterday, what they call it, Operation Trojan Horse, where they put all of these ICE agents in the back of Penske trucks. Then they show up at a work site that's known to be a place where migrants work. They open up the truck. They film this, by the way, like it's a movie, so that they can post it on the ICE website. And the ICE website says, protect your culture. That's what it says. It says, protect your culture. And then you see the trucks opening up the back door, and then the agents who are all in there, like right out of, what you would see, not even in a real war zone, because if it was a real war zone, that's probably the worst way to bring your troops into a war zone, because you're putting them all together where one drone could just take out the entire truck. But this is what you would see in a Hollywood movie. Like, this is how Hollywood movies depict war scenes. You would never do it in real life, because you would take out all the soldiers with one drone. But they open up the latch, and then boom, they all run out and go hunting. And it's Operation Trojan Horse, because they're in Penske trucks. And then they go and they grab the migrants, they throw them to the ground, they grab them by their collar, like their back, they hold them up like they're holding up like
a trophy.
Like trophies, but like
a human trophy.
Like you hunting like a duck hunter, right? Like you're grabbing them like your ducks, and like your trophy, because you're getting your bonus, and then they celebrate that. I want to talk about that in more, Cohen. We have a second break today. We've got to take it. By the way, how many people from the Patriot Front, how many people from all these right-wing extremist groups, Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, are finding their way to get employment as these masked ICE agents as well. Mm-hmm. We're going to learn a lot of stories about that. All right, last quick break of the show. Reminder, Mea Culpa is Michael Cohen's audio podcast. Subscribe there. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, his YouTube channel as well. Make sure you subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/Political Beatdown. We'll be right back. Let's take our last quick break of the show. 2-finger salute coming your way.
Oh, yeah. Look, after everything that I've been through, I know a thing or two about needing a reset, whether it's in life, in politics, or in your health. Sometimes you just have to start fresh. And when I need that kind of reset, Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet, it's my go-to. I've done it. I felt the difference. And you know what? It works. And look, summer's here. And sure, we all say that we're going to eat better. We're going to lose weight. We're going to hit the gym. But without a solid plan, all of that ends up in the land of broken promises. Prolon, it gives you structure backed by a serious science to help you get results that stick. So here's how. It's a plant-based, pre-packaged nutrition program. Soups, snacks, drinks, everything that you need for 5 days. It tricks your body into thinking it's fasting while it's actually being nourished. And the result? Fat loss, metabolic reset, cellular rejuvenation, and more energy without starving yourself. And the new Prolon Next Gen? It takes things to a whole new level. 100% organic soups and teas, better taste, ready-to-eat meals, and the same Nobel-winning science powering it all. So no matter the season, when I'm craving a real reset, Prolon is the only nutrition program that works for me. It's effective, convenient, and honestly, it's one of the smartest things I do for myself. And now, Political Beatdown listeners, brigaders, you're going to get exclusive access to a deal that you won't find anywhere else. So for a limited time, Prolon is offering 15% off site-wide, plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day nutrition program. So head right now to prolonlife.com/beat. That's ProlonLife, PROLONLIFE.com/beat to claim your 15% discount and your bonus gift. Again, that's ProlonLife.com/beat. Give your body the reset it deserves and do it the right way.
Michael Cohen, great ad read. Support our pro-democracy sponsors. Discount codes are in the description below. Hey, Michael Cohen, tell us who gets the two-finger salute today?
Tim Cook. Hard for me to imagine that this idiot and a half, a guy who is the CEO, imagine this, of the highest grossing company, I think, in the world, is sitting there bending the knee, paying off the president of the United States, aggrandizing him in front of the entire world, in front of our entire media pool, with a gold brick with some horse shit about a piece of glass that's circular with a hole in it that's etched on it. I mean, that this is some sort of, it's a one of one. Why don't you take that one of one and go smash it, right? Because all Trump gives a shit about is the base of it, because it's made of 24 karat gold. I am so repulsed at the fact that this company, Apple, is willing to just eat it, right? That they're just willing to drop us, the American people that are their consumers, for one man. And that, to me, is certainly deserving of the two-finger salute. So, Tim Cook, fuck you, man.
Well said, Michael Cohen. I want to also show this clip as well. I think it's important for us to take a look at. This is Chris Wright. This may get my two-finger salute right here. This guy's the secretary for the Department of Education and the Department of Energy. Linda McMahon's education. He's energy is what I meant. And Department of Energy are going back and deleting all of the reports, or changing and altering reports that talk about climate change and talk about the damage and destruction that's being caused. And what the Trump regime is putting out right now, not making this up, are reports that say climate change is beneficial and that we need more of it in order to help the economy, in order to actually be healthier. We need climate change. If you don't believe me, here is the head of the Department of Energy saying climate change is great and actually leads to more jobs, better insurance, less disasters. This is what he said there. And he says he uses the word crazy. He goes, it's crazy to suggest that climate change is harmful. Here, play this clip.
The Department of Energy, meanwhile, released its climate report assessing the impact of greenhouse gas emissions. It includes carbon dioxide-induced warming may be less damaging than previously believed, which many people expected. The DOE is receiving pushback, however, from the New York Times. The Times writes that the Energy Department is attacking climate science in contentious report. Secretary, your reaction?
What a crazy headline, but I guess that's par for the course for the New York Times. In fact, we're doing the exact opposite. We're exposing the American people and the broader scientific community to what actually is in the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reports, not the hyperbolic summaries for policymakers or media headlines that claim all sorts of crazy stuff. This is what we actually know. How often do you hear that the planet's getting greener because there's more carbon dioxide in the air that contributes to increased crop productivity and greater wilderness, greener wilderness? How often do you hear that deaths from extreme weather have been falling like a stone for a century, and that insured losses from extreme weather events have been on a multi-decadal decline? Those are just facts. Instead, we're scaring kids in school. We're promoting an alarmist view of climate change that's simply contrary to the facts. It's a real physical phenomenon that we want to talk about honestly and openly, but we got to get past the scaremonger campaign that you can't do this because of climate change, or the government's going to stop your plans here to fight climate change. Just nonsense.
Well, that is just incredible. You are so right. Look, Secretary, let me...
That is so incredible. You are so right.
She is such an ass, just to ensure that you don't know that the earth is actually getting warmer, just so you have no idea the storm that is brewing. They've actually spoken now to NASA to blow up a weather satellite that sits in orbit that provides the American Meteorological Society with this information. Imagine that. They're worried about spending money on giving children lunches, right? But they're willing to blow up a couple $100 million, if not $1 billion weather satellite because they don't want anybody to know the facts. Can you imagine? This is the stupidity. And when you have people like Fox News, like Maria Bartiromo, all trying to just kiss the ass of one man because he doesn't believe in climate change, because Donald Trump doesn't believe that climate change is a real thing. All right. Despite all the shit that we see every day, the damage, the destruction, the hurricanes, the tornadoes, the floods, all right, at these alarming rates, these 100 or 1,000-year storms, because Trump does not believe in climate change. And because people made fun of him for not believing it, he is now going to change, rewrite the way that people think of climate change. He's going to then have people like this turn around and tell you that the reports are all wrong and it's all lies.
Which they do about wind energy and solar energy, because Donald Trump didn't like the windmills at Aberdeen and Turnberry. That means that America is going to kill a major industry that is important for our energy needs. And it's not like this void is not going to be filled, right? I mean, there are other countries, whether it's China, European Union, Canada, Australia, whatever, they're watching what's happening here and they're saying, holy crap, this is a massive opportunity. Over the course of the next few years, American power is going to go away. We're already seeing it go away. In about 200 days, we saw it go away. So they're saying, we're going to capitalize on this. And I'm just noticing, if you look at some of the deals that have been happening lately as well, Australia buying warships from Japan, Canada buying warplanes from France, Japan and Brazil exchanging beef with each other and avoiding the U.S., totally. India and China having a high-level meeting of Prime Minister Modi and Xi Jinping. We're seeing a new global order form. We're seeing the United States become a failed business of Donald Trump's, weak, cocooning, shirking responsibilities.
And all the stuff that he's doing is going to make the United States number 2 to China.
And here's the one that people aren't thinking about too. Also weaker to a Commonwealth alliance of Australia, of UK, of Canada, working with the Europeans in the EU and this kind of EU. I mean, think about what the world order looks like in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, it looks like maybe America third, maybe America fourth. I think you have a European Union, Australia, Canada, bridging those gaps together.
Ben, when you turn around and you say that, for example, they're buying the planes from France, it's very funny because if you listen to Trump, he's telling you that so-and-so just went, purchased like $100 billion, right? Saudi Arabia or Emiratis, whatever, that, Boeing, it's all nonsense. I mean, it's all lies. My friends, it's why I turn around in so many of these episodes and I say, Midas Touch Network has done an insanely important job filling a major role with its over 5+ million subscribers and followers. And it's why I turn around and I say to you, we can't allow this to happen. The only way that American democracy continues post-2026 is if, in fact, the midterms go the way that we are hoping that they would go. Now, I don't want to hear people say, well, the party that's in power, the presidential power, that they generally tend to lose either the House, the Senate, or both. Let me be very clear, all right? I don't want to rely upon historical, data. I want to ensure that the American people realize just how dangerous this administration is when you do not have a tripartite system of government that has checks and balances. And it's why I'm asking each and every one of you, do one thing today. Only one thing. It's now 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 2 o'clock where Ben is. All right, Pacific Standard Time. Get one person. Each of you get one person to subscribe to Midas Touch Network. And all, of course, it's various different platforms, but each one of you do at least one person today. Imagine tomorrow we wake up and we turn around and we say, we're now over 10 million people, because then we're going to do it again. And ultimately, when the midterm elections come about, what a voice Midas Touch Network that brings nothing but the truth to the American people will be. And the only way that we're going to end up doing that and getting there is with your help. So please, do your part.
Thank you, Michael Cohen. Thank you, Beatdown Brigaders. A reminder, everybody, watch the live show I do with my brothers this evening live, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Go and check that out. Also, subscribe to the Midas Touch YouTube channel. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's audio podcast, the Mea Culpa audio podcast. Subscribe there. Subscribe, as I said, to his Substack, patreon.com/political beatdown as well. In the next week or two, Michael Cohen and I will be there on Patreon doing
next week for sure.
Do a Zoom meeting. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we will see you next time on Political Beatdown. Shout out Brigaders and shout out Midas Mighty.
Boom, boom, and boom.